Aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Exporting Agricultural Products from Hawaii. My name is Rob Hack from the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. We are a local nonprofit in Honolulu charged with helping companies export their products from Hawaii and the Pacific Islands. In Hawaii, we are able to put on this series of webinars and perform one-on-one company mentorings and trainings through a generous grant from SBA, the Small Business Administration in Washington, D.C., and locally, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, DBET, administers that grant. And we're very thankful to SBA and DBET for the grant that allows us to put these webinars on. You are attending our first one of this current 2022 cycle. Again, it's Exporting Agricultural Products from Hawaii. Our next big event is next month on December 9th. It's Export University 101. That's nearly a half-day event where we cover many topics of exporting, such as finance and legal and e-commerce and logistics, etc. So please look out for that. Our first speaker today is from DBET, is Jamie Lum. She is responsible for administering the STEP grant, or the State Trade Expansion Program grant from SBA in Hawaii. It's locally branded as HiSTEP to make it specific for Hawaii. So Jamie, can you please tell us a little bit about HiSTEP?
Thank you, Rob. Aloha and good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us in this first webinar of the HiSTEP series. As Rob already mentioned, I'm from DBED, and DBED is the administrator of this, what we call the HiSTEP program, the Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program, which is supported primarily through a grant from the SBA. We work with many different partners to put this program on, and one of which is the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. Thank you to Rob. They, as Rob already mentioned, put together the series of webinars that we will be having throughout the year. And then we're also happy to have one of our other partners featured today, the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, and they'll be talking about their programs for the year. But so HiSTEP is an export development program that's open to companies, whether you're new to export or you're already exporting and you want to increase either in a particular market or introduce new products, but it is open to companies that are anywhere on the exporting spectrum. And basically, to be eligible for the program, you have to be considered a small business by the SBA standards and be in business for at least a year. You have to have a product that is at least US 51% value, product or service, I should say. And there are some other eligibility requirements. Rob has our HiSTEP webpage up here, and it has each of the program elements, which I'll just talk about briefly. Our export readiness is one component of the program, of which this webinar is part of that. So as Rob said, we'll have monthly webinars either on export specific topics or market topics. And we do have a list of all the webinars here, and this is where you can go and register for these webinars. They are free, normally about an hour, but as Rob pointed out, next month when we have the Export University 101, which is a little longer. So you can go here to look at our calendar for the year. Also part of the export readiness program is our business advising, where when you register with HiSTEP, we will put you in touch with one of our partner organizations, and you can have at least an initial consultation with our program partner to talk a little bit about your company and your exporting goals. If you have an export development plan, how you can maybe improve upon that. If you don't have a plan, they can help guide you to putting one together. And actually next August and September, we'll actually be having two sessions on export, writing an export plan. So the whole intention of export readiness is just that, to get companies, especially those that might be new, to become ready to export and to be able to participate in some of the other activities that we have in our program, which the second one are Hawaii pavilions, where we organize Hawaii companies and go into trade shows. We have several scheduled for 2022. I know a lot of companies are excited about going to in-person trade shows again. For the last 20 months or so, trade shows have not, for the most part, not been happening in person, and a lot of it has been happening virtually. But what we do is we use STEP funds to purchase space in a particular trade show, and then we recruit companies, and we exhibit under the banner of the Hawaii brand. So we find that that is very powerful, being under the Hawaii brand, and we also make it an affordable way for companies to go into these large trade shows. So again, the Department of Agriculture is doing 3 of those trade shows, and they will be talking more about those shows. So that's our Hawaii pavilions. And lastly, we have our company assistance, which is direct financial assistance to companies to help with supporting some of your export activities. So this year we have 2 categories. We're separating the funding between new to export companies and market expansion companies, and we do have basically, I mean, it's just as it says. New to export is a company that's never exported before, or as it says, accidental or occasional, or maybe you exported previously and you haven't done so in about 1.5 years, so you would be considered a new to export. Market expansion would be then companies who are actively exporting and are looking at targeting new markets, or maybe introducing new products in a market that they might already be in, just trying to expand their reach in that market. So these are competitive. We don't call them grants technically, because the process you have to go through is a request for proposal process. But if you just go through this portion of our webpage, you can see all the instructions. The only thing I'd point out is for there are differences in the level of funding you can request. For a new to export company, the maximum amount you can request is $5,000, and for a market expansion, it's $15,000. The other requirement, if you're a market expansion company, is that we would like to see that companies have at least $200,000 in annual revenue. And that is because we know that in order to be successful at exporting, it does take a lot of resources. And so we want to make sure that companies will be able, they have enough financial backing to be able to really move forward in their exporting activities and their exporting goals. So that's it in a nutshell. How you start out is to go to on the, you see where it says registration. If you click on that at the more towards the top, sorry, Rob, under, what is HiSTEP, and fill out the HiSTEP registration form. There's no cost. It doesn't obligate you to anything. It just gives us some information about your company and helps us to know where you're at. And from this, then we can put you in touch with one of our partner organizations so that you can begin. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy. You can always email me or reach out to us. My colleague, Mark Ritchie, is also on this webinar, and Mark and I work very closely together in putting the program together. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jamie. While I have the browser open, I'd like to show everyone the archive of videos, and this webinar that you're attending now will be archived here. after the recording, I edit it slightly and then upload it to the YouTube channel of the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. DBET will also have an archive on their website as well. So please look for those anytime you're interested in more information here. And there's almost 8 years of videos, nearly 100 videos on here with many different topics, some country specific, some very topic specific. So please look for that. Our primary speakers today are from the Hawaii Department of Agriculture. We have Sharon Hurd, Yukashi Smith, and Karen Sur are going to explain about exporting of agricultural products from Hawaii. I have their website open here and we'll refer back to this, but you can just check it anytime at HDOA.Hawaii.Gov and look for the Agricultural Development Division. There's quite a few trade shows that they'll be attending this year, pavilions that Hawaii companies can join, and we'll be referring to the web pages of those trade shows as well. So please stay tuned. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sharon. And if you'll share your screen, we should be ready to go.
Okay, so sorry, we just lost the connection. So doing the Build Back Better, I mean the infrastructure program, because we surely need it here. Starting with the thank yous, and it's really nice to be back in a group presenting again. If anything, thank you to DBET, starting all the way with the director McCartney and Administrator Ling, all the way to especially Jamie, for including the Department of Agriculture in their STEP grant. We are a subaward and so happy to be a subaward as it provides the needed funding to do these types of activities. So real quick, this is our first slide, and I want to highlight our internal Andrew. What we provide to Andrew is the content, and Andrew's going to swing by and say hello. He makes the slides what you're looking at today. We just provide the content. So this is the market development branch at the Department of Agriculture. Our goal is to expand the markets you have and create new markets for you. And the STEP grant is exactly that, the State Trade Expansion Program. Today's topic is exporting agricultural products from Hawaii, with Gulf Food being the first one in February. Gulf Food is a long show. It's a 5-day show. The organizers kind of require that you stay the full 5 days. They don't want to be walking through the show and then see an empty space. So just a heads up, it's a 5-day show, but the beauty of it is we have an 18 square meter space and you can bring in as many people as you want to rotate through. Yeah, so next slide. I thought I could do it. Okay, so Gulf Food. We have been an advocate for Gulf Food for quite some time because there's so much of the world's population is Muslim. 1 out of every 4 consumers in the world are Muslim. Gulf Food has been one of the most popular sales lucrative shows for WUSADA. WUSADA has, when they, pre-COVID, when they would announce the registration for Gulf Food, within 2 hours it sold out. They have like 35 booths. On-site sales have been over 25 million within the USA Pavilion. The GCC countries import about 85% of their food. Pretty much familiar? Yeah, it's like us. The opportunities for Gulf Food are that USA imports are considered safe and healthy. And this has been the case. Yukashi, Karen, and I have found this to be the case in every one of our international trade shows. The USA Pavilion is usually packed because consumers know. We have FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act. We don't skim on the health part. We really take good care of our products. Population of the GCC countries, there's 6 GCC, the Gulf Council countries. They're rich. They have 54 million consumers. The total GDP is 3.4 trillion. Basically, that works out to about $63,000 per man, woman, and child in every year. The thing you got to remember about marketing food in that region is that many foods are inherently halal. Fruits, nuts, honey, you don't need to be certified. It's inherently considered halal. And just so far, year to date, Yukashi will touch on the Euromonitor data, but year to date, already we've sold $8,000 plus of coffee to Saudi Arabia. And that is from Euromonitor as of September 30th. Coffee's being harvested, just ending the harvest. So who knows, we might see a spike in this number in the very near future. The World Bank says the USA GDP in 2020 was 20.94 trillion, population of 3.29.5 million. The reason I bring that up is to show you that our GDPs are very similar. Our GDP runs about $64,000 per man, woman, and child. So we have some similarities with that area in terms of the way we market and consume food. The challenges, the solutions to the challenger in quotes. Okay, we all know logistics are far away. The solution to that is to work with a freight forwarder. I did talk to one, Able Freight, and I said, what is the challenge to take a shipment from Honolulu to Dubai, whereas the big distribution centers are in Dubai? He said, we can do it in 24 hours. And that's because of a nonstop flight daily at 777 from LA to Dubai on Air Emirates every day. And you got one going from San Francisco, and every once in a, I think it's 3 times a week from Portland. So you do have access. The air service is there. The challenge is that within the GCC, they're focusing on increasing their local food supply. What's the solution? We provide them the technology that they need to be solar, to be vertical, to go aquaponics. You know, we provide them the technology. 1 out of every 4 in the world is Muslim. What's the solution? You get certified. Meat products must be slaughtered halal, be certified. Products must not contain alcohol or pig products anywhere along their process. Even if the alcohol is eventually removed, you still would be challenged to be certified halal. The transit time, try to have a value-added product that has a shelf life of 18 plus months. Fruits, dried fruits, nuts, honey, perfect for this market. And with that, I'll go to the next slide. Participation by Hawaii companies. We're going to have a booth space of 18 square meters. Commodity groups are eligible. The products that are eligible would be what Jamie said. You have to be made in Hawaii or 51% Hawaii origin. I'm strongly suggesting that you walk the trade show. Get a feel for what Gulf food is like. See how crowded we are in the USA Pavilion, and then take a side trip to go to the China Pavilion, go to the Europe Pavilion, go to the other pavilions. You'll see, in my opinion, it's a bowling alley. One-on-one meetings will assist you with that. We can help you with contacting the Agriculture Trade Office. They can help you with meetings there. We're going to charge $500 fee to display products within the pavilion. And what do we use the fee for? We're going to have a contractor, and that contractor will help you arrange one-on-one meetings. The contractor will have maybe a dinner buffet, a dinner that the fee will pay for, because federal money doesn't pay, state and federal money. You can't use it to pay for food. You are HiSTEP eligible, and you're fund match eligible. Karen will go over fund match later on. So far, Stevie pulled a Euromonitor report. So far since 2015, we have exported to the GCC coffee, chocolate, plants, ice cream, ornamental fish, live bees, and abalone. So there have been opportunities, people have shipped. There's a big chasm, no numbers for the period 2018 to 2019. And we all know what happened then, right? All these trade barriers, we just were not friendly. So there were no exports during that period, but now is a great time to start again. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Yukashi.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Oh. Okay, the next trade show is Foodex Japan trade show. While exploring the new market, Dubai is a very, very exciting market, and I recommend you to try. But Japan is the top export market for Hawaii ag and food companies over the years. And many companies might be familiar with Foodex trade show. This is the largest trade show in Japan, not just Japan, in Asia as well, because it has been attracting over 80,000 buyers and 3,000 exhibitors from all over the world. Of course, it's a pre-pandemic days, though. The last 2 years are not like that, but usually it takes place in March. Makuhari Messe, Chiba in Japan. Chiba is located next to Tokyo. From Tokyo Station, it only takes 40 minutes train ride. And the products, suitable products to exhibit is any kind of food and beverage items, including alcohol and non-alcohol beverages. And we created a Hawaii Pavilion, and you can, even though you are new to export companies, you can be with the veteran companies, and then they can bring the buyers and distributors to the Hawaii Pavilion so that you can be exposed to those customers, potential customers, which is a very good thing about being the Hawaii Pavilion. But as of speaking now, Japan is not allowing the foreign travelers right now. So for the next year's Foodex trade show, we are planning to do the product showcase using the Japanese representatives. But in any time, the government may lift the travel restrictions. That's what we are hoping. Then we will arrange the normal style of the trade show or manning the booth at the Hawaii Pavilion. So if you have any questions, I'm the contact person. Please reach me out. And next trade show is going to be Karen.
Hi, thank you for moving the slide over to IFEA. And IFEA is actually going to be held in Tokyo Big Site in May of 2022. And the nice thing about this particular exhibition is that it is similar to Foodex, but it is an entirely different market. And it is actually the largest food ingredient and additive trade show. And it's in conjunction with their health food trade show as well. So this will bring together
That sounds good.
Sorry.
I was just gonna
You know
text you.
why? Because
Oh, sorry, my internet connection is going to be unstable. And but anyway, this is basically an additive chemical-based trade show where you think about like different things like fibers. We had a situation where, you know, a byproduct of our pineapple waste was basically being looked at as a fiber ingredient for yogurt. So think about things that are going to be a seasoning into food service, or maybe a sweetener, or we had, I think, bakery goods that have taken off from taking a launch from IFEA participation in Hawaii suppliers. So it's kind of an exciting thing, but it's a really scientific chemical-based exhibition. And then I'm actually going to move over now to some other opportunities and resources besides what we are being supported by with DBED and HiSTEP. So we are also members of the Western United States Agricultural Trade Association, and commonly known as WUSADA, which Sharon mentioned earlier. And they also provide export assistance. So you'll see from this particular map that there's other trade associations representing Midwest, Northeast, and Southern United States. So you can see that WUSADA has a big chunk of the change here. And we can move to the next slide. The activities that WUSADA supports in this past year, as well as for all going forward, have been both inbound buyer missions, where we've actually worked with DBED on some of the inbound buyer missions. We will bring buyers from foreign countries over to the United States or to a particular state to meet with the suppliers one-on-one and partake in their sampling, and then have them make a connection, and they will then continue the connection afterwards via email and other resources. Similarly, outbound trade missions is where we would help coordinate our own suppliers locally, and we might co-lead with another state in our WUSADA family, and then we will bring our suppliers to those countries to introduce them to buyers locally and do the product sampling. The other opportunity we've had is international trade shows, which we will go over. We've done IFEA, we've done Gulf Food, we've done FoodX, but there's many other trade shows. We are actually looking at SIAL America this year, and a lot of international buyers participate with many of our shows. Virtual trade missions, obviously everyone has been COVID-19 virtual mission fatigued. However, we have actually had some interesting successes. We're actually in the midst of, we've just finished Japan, Korea, China is happening right now. Australia virtual trade mission is happening right now. A Taiwan mission is happening in December. So it is a plethora of virtual trade missions. Fund Match, I'm actually going to go over in more detail coming forward. They also offer, similar to DBED, they also offer educational seminars, guest speakers, and all of that is posted on their website. Now, the caveat is obviously we would want to be made in the USA, right? And so 51% of your product, excluding water and packaging, would need to be 51% in US origin. And more information is on www.wusada.org. So some of the things that they support are Global Connect. And so Global Connect helps you, that would be the next slide. That would help our suppliers explore global trade. And so there's kind of like a big circle here. You'll notice that it says Global Connect with international trade activities. And in addition, we'll support you with some fund match, where up to 50% of your reimbursement on eligible activities can be reimbursed. And then we'll support you with seminars, webinars, and market research. So we can go to the next slide, and some of the benefits of registering. You would be able to basically join WUSADA's power base in terms of the resources, right? So like the Hawaii Pavilion that Sharon was mentioning with Gulf Food, with DBED and HiSTEP, similarly, they will do the same at Gulf Food for the WUSADA companies and suppliers, which Yukashi mentioned sells out, or I think Sharon mentioned that sells out within a couple of hours. And the nice thing about participating with the HiSTEP Gulf Food is that $500 is basically change compared to what the Gulf Food participants with WUSADA will invest in. I mean, they will invest tens of thousands of dollars into their booth at the WUSADA Pavilion. Now, that WUSADA Pavilion participates broadly in the United States of America Pavilion, so that makes sense, right? They basically utilize a lot of long-standing relationships, and then will help you to build confidence. And there goes my internet again, but basically you get to explore markets without the high expenditure of doing it solo. Okay, next slide, please. A little bit on the fund match. Basically, you would be buying into and registering for a special program with WUSADA, where eligible suppliers can remain competitive by obtaining 50% reimbursement for marketing activities. So for example, if you were going to Gulf Food, like Sharon mentioned, right, she said there's a subsidy. What they could do is, if you would, make sure you document everything, you provide your receipts, and you would be able to recoup 50% of the cost of going to Gulf Food, including and not limited to things like your marketing materials that you might be producing to give away to visitors to your booth. Next slide, please. And I'm not going to cover this, but basically, if you were to go on the website, you would be able to access videos to then provide export information. And what's very helpful is every country market contractor that we have, or Foreign Agricultural Trade Service, will assist in providing export education, and they'll pop that video up, and you might see, you can actually look at all of the menu, like how Rob was sharing earlier for DBED's site. You would be able to pop up Japan, or look at the Middle East, or look at Thailand. So we do a lot of different educational videos and resources. So next slide, please. Here are some of the programs, and this is not a comprehensive list. This is only the list of activities that your local Hawaii project management team at the market development branch are going to be working with co-leads on the mainland. There are a plethora of other events that you can participate in. And as you can see, it's everything from Gulf food to the Southeast Asian countries, to Europe, to Australia and China and Japan. Next slide, please. To register, it's really important to register in advance because once that mission opens up, they might sell out quickly and sometimes within minutes or hours. And so what you would want to do is go onto this website at www.usada.org that we showed on the last slide and register a profile. It's free. You just put up your information and then they will start the ball rolling for you. This is some contact information for how to register and how to ask questions about Fund Match and things like that. So we have that on your slide deck, so I'm not going to like read it to you. Moving to the next slide, please. We're going to introduce Yukashi, and she's going to cover some exciting information.
Thank you, Karen. So USADA provides not only opportunity for us to conduct export activities, but also gives us an access to the Euromonitor International Database, which is a mega database, and you can go detail into it. Also, the USADA provides us an internship program so that we can hire paid interns from college. And this year, we're very fortunate to have Stevie from Scheidler Business College. And he does a great job using Euromonitor and then pull out the data. And let me show you what he can pull out. The next slide, please. Next slide. Oops. So this is just an example. What is the top 10 Hawaii agri products exported globally last year? The number one is the shrimp. It's actually the broodstock, which is the baby shrimp that's gonna be exported to Southeast Asia, and they're gonna raise the shrimp and then probably come back to Hawaii for us to eat. So those are the top 10: coffee, macadamia nuts, papayas, chocolates. So those are agricultural products to export it to the world. The next slide, please. How about Japan? Japan is the top export market for Hawaii ag products. So these are similar rankings: coffee, chocolate, and so we have cookies, vegetable oils, and fruit juices. So if you look at the coffee, so the previous slide says the world export sales was $10 million at value, and then 7.7 million US dollars sales went to Japan. So what about the rest of the 30% of the coffee went? So the next slide, please. So we can just go to the coffee, where the coffee went last year. So Japan, at the top again, $7.7 million. The rest of the countries are Switzerland, Canada, South Korea, Taiwan. So we can go detail even like how about roasted coffee or unroasted coffee, or so the Euromonitor gives us a lot of great data that will be helpful for companies to determine which market and which crops, which products should go to export. Next, please. So those are the export assistance we can offer to the Hawaii companies. But using this opportunity, we'd like to talk about a little bit domestic marketing we are doing. So we are going to conduct 2 mainland trade shows, like a Hawaii Pavilion style. One is the National Restaurant Association trade show held in Chicago in May. It is all about food service. So suitable products, all food and beverage, including alcohol and non-alcohol beverages. So our Hawaii Pavilion will be located at American Food Fair Hall, where all other states have a state pavilion. And the great thing is that there are so many international buyers are coming regularly. So the size is pretty big. Pre-pandemic days, this attract 43,000 plus buyers from all over the world, from all 50 states, countries participating. Next slide, please. So this is the map where the buyers are from. You can see not just the American continent, but Europe and even Africa. So this is a food service trade show, and we subsidize 50% of the booth fee. And the next trade show is going to be Karen is going to explain.
Thank you, Yukashi. So this is a pretty cool trade show. It's called the Produce Marketing Association Fresh Summit Show. And it is going to be held in Orlando, Florida this year, or this coming year in October. Now, this particular show has many marketplaces. So we, as you can see from the photo, on the bottom photo, there's our produce show, which is where the Hawaii Pavilion was physically. And so we had our sweet potatoes, our basil, and all kinds of papaya, everything else that was being shown there. Technically speaking, we could have also taken our floral department and participated in the floral marketplace. And as you can see, there was also a solutions marketplace where Able Freight participated in the nice aqua blue. There they had several booths in the solution marketplace. There are also other marketplaces that include complementary items, retail solutions. They have equipment, packaging, and growing technology, things like that, vertical integrated systems and everything like that. So it's a very large show. But the beauty of this particular show is, well, this coming year in October, because of all the COVID and the rollover of the rollover, it's actually sold out for our Hawaii booth. However, having said that, you never know what happens. So please feel free to waitlist your company if you're interested in participating in the PMA Fresh Summit. Another point to make is that if you're a first timer, you get awesome benefits, which include a booth subsidy, which is at 50%, which would be about $2,000 in value. So instead of paying $4,000, you would only pay $2,000. And in addition to that, you would get a 100% booth furnishings, basic booth furnishings package, which equates to a couple of $100s, which is like your table chairs and that kind of thing. Anything extra would be on your own. But this is a very cool opportunity to take advantage of the group mentality being in the Hawaii Pavilion. And I'm going to turn it back to Yukashi really quickly so she can go over seal of quality.
Thank you, Karen. So it is very important for the Hawaii exporters that your products are well recognized in the local market, because the prospective buyers, they're going to do the research and then they want to check on how your products are received in the local market. So the MDB HDOA has two marketing programs to brand your products. One is Hawaii Seal of Quality. I hope you recognize this green oval logo. This guarantee your products are Hawaii grown and Hawaii made. And to qualify this program, your products has to have at least 51% of Hawaii origin agricultural ingredients, and then the value has to be added in Hawaii more than 51%. And to certify, actually, the inspector physically go to your place to certify and clarify, verify all the information is accurate. You have to renew the logo license agreement annually. And this is not the free program. You have to pay a minimum fee though, with application fee and logo usage fee as a program participation fees. But with that minimum participation fees, you can get a lot of member benefits, including professional photography, rack cards designing and printing, and other free collateral. And you can be a part of digital and social media promotion. And currently we are doing TV campaign with Hawaii News Now. So this is the Hawaii Seal of Quality program. And then the last slide is by Karen.
All right, Yukashi, I have a quick question before we move on, because I agree that this is extremely important for our companies to take advantage of. What kind of products are available for this Hawaii Seal of Quality? Could it be processed foods as well, or is it only like raw agricultural products?
This is for the fresh produce and value-added products. So we have coffee companies and honey, those are manufactured products, as well as we have fresh produce, bananas, cabbages, tomatoes, and flowers.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi again. And so for those value-added products, perhaps that cannot meet that very high standard for seal of quality because, you know, we don't have flour here, we don't grow flour, we don't have the grains. So we're not able to participate at the seal of quality level. We have the Made in Hawaii with Aloha program with DBED. So we work together and it differentiates Hawaii products from products that are made elsewhere that maybe might call themselves that they're made in Hawaii. And there are a lot of products that do slap on a Made in Hawaii label and, you know, they really aren't made in Hawaii. I'm so sorry, I'm just being honest. So what our program does is it's basically asking, it's basically differentiating using this lovely hibiscus floral logo, and products must be at least 51% or more of the cost, the total cost of production must be incurred in the state of Hawaii. So for example, unfortunately, if you have coffee and then you ship it to California to be then packaged, roasted and packaged, that would not qualify because it's not ending up in the state of Hawaii. Whereas if we grow the coffee here, we roast the coffee here, and then we value add it here, then that would qualify for Made in Hawaii with Aloha. The registration is entirely free. It's basically requesting an annual renewal so we know that you're still in business, and you can get more information on our website where it says www.HDOA.Hawaii.Gov/made with Aloha. And so now we are going to move into our Q&A session. I'm going to bring back Sharon, and then we just really thank you for participating with us today. Oops, no, we're all together. We're coming up. Sorry, questions, bring them up. We're ready.
Let's see, there aren't any questions here, but I was texted a question. I'm going to move back one slide here. So the company that texted me manufactures cookies, and they would be available for the Made in Hawaii with Aloha certification, but not this one.
If they manufacture the cookie here.
They do, yes, yes. Okay, great. And this would also include chips or any kind of value-added type of product, right? I'm kind of honing in on this topic because I really feel like our companies have to aggressively pursue this to get it out into the market. And I agree with what Karen said. And I don't think you need to apologize for saying that there are a lot of companies that put this on and they're not made in Hawaii, because I think we need to crack down on that somehow. I don't know how, but our companies need to get this made with Aloha out there in the world. It's extremely beneficial from a marketing standpoint.
And I will say that on our Australia mission, we've been meeting remotely with Australian buyers this week. And we do have one company from Hawaii that's participating. But I asked the in-country contractor, you know, do these logos make a difference? Because the participant has a seal of quality logo on her packaging when she was meeting with the buyers in Australia virtually on the Zoom call. And he said, absolutely, because Australians really love that premium quality. They love to be reassured that it's made with, you know, high standards. And I know that with Yukashi Seal of Quality program, similarly, Japan really values that, and a lot of the different countries do. They really do look highly upon not just Hawaii, but the United States.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I just want to add, yeah, so you mentioned chips and cookies. So chips can be used Hawaii agricultural ingredients, Hawaii grown taro chips are extremely popular right now. And now some farms are growing potato. So we're going to have potato chips, maybe and grown and made in Hawaii. But the cookies, yeah, as Sharon mentioned, we don't have flowers, sugar, we lost sugar farm. And that's not, the company's fault that those are not commercially available. But we would like to promote those manufacturing companies in Hawaii with Made in Hawaii branding program. So that's the difference.
Right. And we actually do have chips. We have ulu chips that are on the seal of quality because that ulu is grown here.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Great. You mentioned Australia, and I'd like to do a quick plug for a webinar that we will have in February of exporting to Australia and New Zealand. We did that a couple of years ago, and it was very well received. And we had U.S. Commercial Service officers and U.S. Department of Agriculture officers from Australia and New Zealand on the webinar discussing that topic. So hopefully you ladies from Hawaii Department of Agriculture can take part in that webinar as well and offer us some advice on exporting to Australia and New Zealand with a little emphasis on agricultural products. There's another question that was texted to me. Some countries, Japan specifically, but parts, the EU certainly, and some others, consider like natural creams and lotions, cosmetics to be quasi-agricultural products, and they go through some of the same testing procedures that are required for food and what have you. In Hawaii, is it more Department of Agriculture handles those types of products, or DBAT handles those types of products?
That's a very good question. And I will say that the seal of quality has had customers in the past, had members that had creams. No.
Oh, but yeah, the products are not.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. The Yukashi has made a correction. Cosmetics are not. And let's use the federal standard. In order to be considered, you have to be food consumed by humans, or medicinal, or for aesthetic value, but it cannot be other than that. It's food that is consumed by humans, aesthetic value, or medicinal. Because some people would want to register a tent stake, or something like they'll say, but every ingredient I have in my product is made in Hawaii, but it's too expensive to manufacture here, so I'm sending it to Arizona. Well, you don't qualify for either program, because as DBET and Department of Agriculture, we support local manufacturing. So it is real important to remember that your ingredients are important, but if you don't manufacture within the state, you don't qualify for either program.
I see. Now, that brings up the question of food consumed by humans. What about some of our organic pet foods and other things like that? How does that work?
USADA will recognize pet food. Some of our programs, like the Special Crop Block Grant program, you cannot use pet food. It has to be consumed by humans. So there's so much gray, Rob, as you know. Every program has its own rules. Every funding source, every funder requires certain things to come from the result of their funding. I think we're losing you.
Oh, no, I just am switching over to the
screen.
To the websites, just to make sure we go through this real quickly, just to remind everybody of where to find you all and get some more information is at HDOA.Hawaii.Gov, and then the market development branch. And the website for FoodX Japan is here. The website for IFIA is here. The website for Gulf Food is here. National Restaurant Show in Chicago is here. PMA is here. And here's the WUSADA website if you've never been here. And you can register here for free. That's correct.
That
And
is correct.
I strongly recommend that. Now, I'll put you on the spot and just say, if a company was new to exporting and they had to pick one of these to invest in 2022, which one would you pick? I know you'll probably all say a different one, but that's fine.
If they're new to export, I would not recommend IFEA as an ingredient show because you do need to do a lot of chemical testing to qualify. I do like the PMA Fresh Summit if their food products qualify for, or they're complementary, because it's going to be not just international buyers, but domestic buyers as well. So
and just to confirm that a company in Hawaii could use HiSTEP funds to attend one of these domestic trade shows because there's a lot of international buyers. That's correct. Okay, great.
Well, I think,
Go ahead.
I think we have to check with the USDA website if they endorse domestic shows as the mappable. I mean, it's a what do you call it? Market access program funding, right? So
Yukashi is correct. A lot of these shows domestically have been qualified as international because of the number of international buyers. The difference is if you use federal money, which HiSTEP and USDA are, you cannot use certain expenses. For instance, your air travel is not mappable, your hotel is not mappable because you're on domestic soil. So you can't, it's the repayment is certain, what is reimbursable is different if it's on US soil. That's a big caution. But your booth fees are mappable, your per diem, but certain things are not as flexible.
And
the travel is not eligible because it's a US law.
Right.
Does it make sense? Yeah.
But having said that, I will share that for the like PMA, for example, and even NRA, I believe, but I know that at PMA, WUSADA will have a pavilion in addition to us having our own Hawaii pavilion. But Hawaii, because we've been active members for like a couple of decades, membership does have its privileges, and loyalty to their program has its privileges, and booth selection and things like that. So,
Yeah, PMA is basically for the fresh produce, but other food items will be maybe good for the National Restaurants Association show. But if you are new to export, as never done anything, I would suggest WUSADA. We do inbound missions or virtual trade missions. You can meet the potential buyers just being in your office. Or we can bring buyers to Honolulu and you can meet with them. That's a maybe first step.
Okay.
I like
the agricultural products are a very significant portion of the free trade agreements that the United States negotiates with other countries. For example, we have a very large and complicated USMCA, the Mexico-Canada US-Mexico-Canada agreement, which used to be called NAFTA, and agriculture is a significant part of that. So exporting to agricultural products to Canada or Mexico is certainly easier than exporting to Japan, for example, from Hawaii. But a lot of our companies, I think about Japan first or something like that rather than Canada or Mexico. I'm curious if you think at some of these domestic shows like the National Restaurant Association, PMA, or some of these WUSADA shows, would there be buyers from Canada and Mexico there? I would assume so, but I've never been, so I can't say.
That's a big yes.
Yeah, the Chicago show,
Huge
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. There are many Canadian buyers to Chicago, of course, right there. PMA is like a different location every year. So next year will be Orlando.
Next year is Orlando. A couple years ago it was Anaheim. This past year it would have been in Dallas.
So
can you remind us, what does PMA mean? I can't recall.
Produce Marketing Association.
Okay,
And
yeah.
basically, the Produce Marketing Association features anything you see when you walk into KTA or Times Supermarket, any grocery store. They have flowers, they have value added, they have fresh dairy, whatever's in a grocery store is there. I wanted to say very good point though about Canada. Canada is cold, so they will take our GMO non-irradiated fruit, so they're a very popular market for papayas, for avocados and fresh things. The other thing about the trade shows is that we have ATOs, agricultural trade offices. We have 80 spread out throughout the world. The ATOs do a very, very good job bringing delegations to these trade shows. So the Canada ATO will bring a Canada delegation, and of course, they spend a lot of time in the USA Pavilion. The Taiwan ATO will bring a delegation, ASEAN, Australia. So you're visited by delegations as well. It's not only the individual buyer, but they are attracted to the show as a delegation sponsored by the US Agricultural Trade Office. Because she has a very good relationship with the Japan ATO, for instance, and she can talk to them and encourage them to bring buyers for the products we have. Bring coffee buyers, bring fruit buyers, bring cookie buyers, and so you will have that added benefit because you are a product of the USA.
Okay, great. There aren't right now any more questions, so I'm going to wrap up, but I just wanted to put your contact information up here one more time. And I highly recommend our companies reach out to these ladies and get more information, get into some of these trade shows, get your seal of quality moving forward, particularly the pavilions. As somebody who spent a lot of their life in trade shows, working with various companies, I can tell you for sure that attending a trade show can be very expensive. But if you get into one of these pavilions that's subsidized by these programs, it's invaluable. And it's a very small amount of money compared to if you were going to do it by yourself. And you get the backing of the state of Hawaii. Looking into that pavilion is just a great marketing tool for your company. So I strongly suggest you get involved in at least one of these pavilions in the coming year. And again, here's all of the contact information. Thank you again, Hawaii Department of Agriculture. It was a wonderful presentation. We greatly appreciate your time. We're looking forward to seeing more of you in 2022. I'd like to thank again SBA and DBET for giving us this grant, which allows us to put on these webinars and company trainings one-on-one. So again, thank you to everyone involved today. This is Rob Hack from the Hawaii Pacific Export Council signing off, and have a good day. Mahalo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.